Hey, good morning, everyone. Mark Johnson here. Welcome to MJ Guitar TV. I've got I'm here at my sanding bench here. Imagine that. More sanding. I've got this beautiful Mirage Classic here. I've got it, I primed it, sanded it, primed it again, sanded it, put some color on it. Well, first I taped off the binding around the edges there, and then I sprayed color on it. And after the color, I pull the tape off the binding, clean it up with a scraper, and then I spray clear on it. And so I sprayed 4 coats of clear on it, sanded it down with 400, and then sprayed my final 4 coats of clear on it. And so now it's ready to be sanded down and buffed again. And so what I'll use is I'll use 3 different grits of sandpaper to prepare this for rub out. The first one is 400 dry. Now I use a dry because when you start off with a wet sand, there's water involved, and this water and sandpaper create a vacuum or a suction. And so the sandpaper will follow any irregularities in the finish. And so you won't get a really good flat finish. Whereas a dry sand, that flattens everything out real nice, and then I can go on to my 1500 wet and then my final 2000 wet. Now, I sand these in a particular pattern that, I don't know, just seems to work for me. 400 in this direction, 1500 in this direction, and then I finish up with the 2000 in this direction. By changing the directions like that, you can really see the previous sanding scratches, and so you know when you get them out, it's a lot easier to see. And so that's what I'm going to be doing here, is prepping this for rub out. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to tell you a little story here. You know, I had a video that I did where I went out to Death Valley, and I got stranded out there, and I don't know, I could have died out there. Probably not, but you know, kind of nice to think that could happen. And so anyway, I got out of there okay. And the very next day, I'm headed down toward Stovepipe Wells, and there's a little road that goes off to these kilns where they would take this wood and they would burn it and create charcoal, and then this charcoal could be used for smelting in the mines, you know, as needed. And so I took that little road out there. I'm also looking for a place where I might be able to camp the night. And I come upon these old ruins of a mine. And so, of course, I have to stop and check that out. And so I do, and I find that there's kind of a cool place to camp there. And so I go, okay, well, then this is where I'm going to be spending the night camping. And it's kind of up on a hill, and the road is down, and it kind of turns and then goes around, and there's lots of hills. It kind of goes through a little canyon, and then you can't see the road anymore. I'm sitting there in my chair there, just relaxing, and this car comes down the road. Little car, and just all kinds of smoke coming out of the front end of it. I go, whoa, you know, that's not good. And we're about, 50 miles from Stovepipe Wells now. And so it's coming down there and making all this smoke. And it comes down to kind of the bottom of the hill where I can see before it goes around the corner and the road disappears. And this guy gets out of the car. He's an older man. His dog gets out and the dog runs around, you know, and so they're there for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes there. And so he gets back in his car and off he goes again. And I'm thinking, he's not going to make it. You know, that's smoke is coming out of that car. And so I get in my car and I follow him because I go, well, you know, he may need some help. And so, of course, his car is down the road, around the corner, out of sight. And so I get in my car and I go down there, and right around that corner, sure enough, he's pulled over there. He didn't make it very far. And I find out that his wife is in there too. And what had happened was when he was out exploring these kilns, he said he must have picked up a rock, you know, slashed the sidewall of his tire there. His tire was on so tight that he couldn't get it off, couldn't put a spare on, and so he had no choice but to just walk or to drive on this flat tire, and that is what was creating all of that smoke. Was that that tire was flat, and it wasn't happy. So I offered to give him a ride down to Stovepipe Wells, and of course he accepts that. And so we get down there, and what he's thinking that he'll be able to do is make a phone call to this little town, Beatty, Nevada, which is about 100 miles away from Stovepipe Wells, and he would get a tow truck to come out, change the tire for him, and be on his way. Now it's probably around 5 o'clock now, and so we get down to Stovepipe Wells, and as I mentioned in another video, in the desert there, Death Valley, there is no cell service, and so he didn't have couldn't use his cell phone. But there is it's not really a ranger station, you know, but it's because it's a park. There's a park office there, and so he goes in there to see if he can get some help. And they do have a means to call out of Death Valley, but they use it only in an emergency. And so because this was an emergency, then he was allowed to make this phone call to Beatty to get some help. And so he made the call. I'm waiting around there thinking that maybe I'll just, I'll give him a ride back to his car. And so he gets back and he says, I'm just going to stay here in Stovepipe Wells, because if we go back to this more remote place, he says, it's going to be really hard for the tow truck driver to find him, if at all. And so I go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And so he stays there in Stovepipe Wells, and I go back, and he just asked me to stop and check on his wife and see that she is okay, if she needs anything, and let her know what's happening. And so I do that. I go back, and so she's just sitting there in the car with the dog, and I don't know, just seems to really be enjoying the situation, not excited about, we're stranded out here. So she's doing okay. And so I leave her there and I go back to my little camping spot, spend the night, get up the next morning, and sure enough, they're gone. You know, so the tow truck driver got there, helped them, and they're off on their way doing something. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a nice follow-up to that last story that I told, because somebody helped me when I needed it. And the following day, somebody needed help. And so I was in a position to help them. And so what goes around comes around, huh? All right, hope you enjoyed that video, and we'll see you at the next episode of MJ Guitars TV. Thanks a lot.